Have you calculated how much you need for your fully funded emergency fund? How many have done that? Okay, good. Good thing to do if you haven't done that. Don't know what you need until you calculate it. All right. I believe that's the main thing there that we needed to look back to. Any of you had to adjust some categories in the budget? Sometimes we budget something and it ends up, yeah. Any categories you've had to add? Maybe you hadn't thought about? Sometimes there's little, $5, $6, $8, $9 things that you just have on a monthly flow through your checking account that you don't think about, memberships or whatever it is, and so those things can get by you if you're not careful. All right, so we've got a little video clip, a debt-free screen that I got queued up back there. If you want to play that, guys, we'll start.
Here. It's a free call at 888-825-5225. Ken and Nicole are in the lobby of Financial Peace Plaza. Hey guys, how are you?
Hey Dave, we're doing really well. How are you?
I am better than I deserve. Welcome to Nashville. Where do you guys live?
We live in Byron Center, Michigan. It's just outside of Grand Rapids.
Yeah.
We've been together since high school. We're high school sweethearts, been married 3.5 years, and we've recently become debt-free.
We appreciate you visiting. So you're here to do your debt-free screen?
We are.
That is awesome. So how much have you paid off?
Well, Dave, we paid off $109,000, $20,000 of which was student $9,000, $20,000 of which was student loan debt for my wife here, and $89,000 was our house, our mortgage.
You've paid off your mortgage?
Yes.
Yep.
You're 3.5 years out of high school?
No.
No. You were high school sweethearts. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. And so how old are you?
I'm 24.
And I'm 25.
Yeah.
Okay. And when did you get married?
In 2010.
Okay. And so you've been married 3 years and some change. Okay. And so this whole time you've been working on this.
And we cash flowed $38,000 worth of repairs on the house.
Wow. And what was your household income during the last 3.5 years?
We started out at $58,000, and now we're at $78,000.
Excellent.
And now we're at $78,000.
Excellent. What do you guys do for a living?
I do home remodeling. I run my own business called Zagman Home Remodeling, and I do custom kitchens and bathrooms in a house, really.
Good for you.
And I also make some extra income. I make custom caskets as well.
Okay. Cool. And Nicole, what do you do?
I'm a creative consultant for an organization in Michigan, and I'm also known as West Michigan's Luxury Image Director. I help entrepreneurs visually brand their services to attract their ideal clients.
Wow, very cool. Look at you two. You're amazing. Very neat. So what happened? I mean, you're getting married. You're just out there. You're a normal young couple, and then you decide, we're going to be weird. We're going to pay off our house fast. We're not only going to knock out these student loans of Nicole's, but we're going to pay off our house fast. What happened? What made you believe you could do that?
We knew that moving forward, that with the goals and the dreams and the passions that we wanted to have in our careers, that we needed to pay off this debt so that we could move forward. And then after we paid off the debt, we realized how much of an inspiration we could be to others. And just seeing everyone else around us acknowledging that we were able to do this. We just want others to know that they can do it too, as long as they make the right behavioral choices and make it a priority. Anyone can do it. Doesn't matter if you are single, have a family, or it just doesn't matter. You can do it with God's help.
That's pretty amazing. What was the hardest, dirtiest, nastiest, horrible thing you had to do in the last 3.5 years to get out of debt?
Dave, we made a lot of sacrifices.
What was the one that you just go, oh?
Cars, maybe.
Yeah. We've driven many old vehicles.
Yeah.
Your driveway was Hooptyville. I love it. What were they? Tell me about them. What was the worst one?
Probably the 98 Prism that we have, but I have a little Cherokee Jeep, 98 Jeep now, and he's got two old Suburbans that one he uses for his work, and then the other is in case the other one breaks down.
It's a
he
spare.
has the other one.
Yeah. You know you got an old Suburban when you have a spare.
Exactly.
Yeah, I love it. And how old are they?
One's my work truck's a 94.
Yeah.
And my other truck's a 99.
Yeah. So you have cars almost as old as you.
Yeah. Definitely.
You guys are awesome. People are totally making fun of you, aren't they?
Yep.
I'm sure.
I love it. You're awesome.
Thank you.
Yeah, and now you can buy anything you want to buy because you can save up. You don't even have a house payment. You're so incredible.
Yes.
Well, you don't even have a house payment. When did you pay off the house?
When?
Well, what day?
It was 3 days before my birthday in August.
He wanted to do it before he turned 25, and we were able to do it.
Yeah, that's most 25-year-olds goal.
Right.
Yeah, I'm just going to pay off my house by the time I'm 24. You guys, I love you. You're incredible. So what made you believe you could really pull this off?
Actually, it's from listening to you, Dave. I've listened for a lot of years now, actually since you came on in Grand Rapids. And I've heard people that call in that make way less than we do, and they paid off their house and done other crazy stuff. So we said, hey, we can do this, and we can do it fast.
So your mom and dad, did you grow up this way? Were they supportive or what?
My mom kind of was. I don't know that anyone else really believed that we were going to do it.
Yeah, until you did it. Okay.
Yeah.
And what's the house worth?
It's worth about $120,000.
Phenomenal. You guys that's a great house in that area. Mm-hmm. It's not bad at all. Not bad at all. I mean, a lot of 25-year-olds would be just happy to have that house, much less have it paid for. Yeah, that's just stinking awesome. I love it. Very, very cool. So, what do you tell people that the keys to getting out of debt are?
I'd say sacrifice.
Yeah, sacrifice and cutting out things that aren't necessity. We found out over the 3 years that not having a washer and dryer, not having a dishwasher, little thing, and we have them now, but we earned and saved and then purchased them. We didn't go out and buy brand new furniture for our house. We paid for things as we had the money. And so just doing everything you can to stay out of debt and paying off the debt that you have, and it's really liberating and freeing.
So you have sacrificed deeply. You really have. But you're really saying it was worth it.
It was very worth it.
Because here you sit without a house payment. Amazing. You guys are awesome. What an inspiring couple. You're on top of it. Yeah, I think I may use that now. That may be one indication that you're probably on the Dave Ramsey plan if your cars are older than you are. That's not bad. That's not a bad line at all right there. I like that. Oh, you might be on the Dave Ramsey plan if. Yeah, we need to fill those in on Twitter, guys. Okay. But it's a temporary thing. If you drive like no one else, I mean, that was it. I did that. I did it. I felt like for years, but all it was just for a few months while we cleaned up and saved up and moved ourselves along. You know, we just vowed we weren't borrowing money anymore. So, well done, you two. Well done. All right, Ken and Nicole moved ourselves along. You know, we just vowed we weren't borrowing money anymore. So we're 25 years old, $109,000 paid off in 3.5 years. By the way, that's their dollars paid off in 3.5 years. By the way, that's their house and everything. $58,000 now, making $78,000 a year. Count it down. Let's hear a debt-free scream.
3, 2, 1.
We're debt free.
Great job, you two. Great job.
So today we're going to start
Fun
lesson
stuff.
4. We're going to start talking about baby steps 4, 5, 6, and 7. So if you want to flip these lights off, and we can turn that
Very
on.
well done. Well, you can do it if they can do it.
You need to decide if you want to be wealthy or if you want to look wealthy. The average family is just basically spending most of the money that they make, and we were in that mode for a long time.
The first time there's money left at the end of a paycheck, that's a really cool moment. We're celebrating and recognizing it for what it is. It is the beginning of a habit that will serve you well in the long view.
So things changed for us when we really started to understand that unless we budget and adjust our spending, that we started setting aside some money and watching it grow.
And now that we don't have the debt, it's amazing how fast the net worth is going up per month.
We saw from having had credit cards that compound interest can hurt you quickly, but it started to look really sweet when you saw what compound interest could do for even modest savings.
Changing our family tree, it means a lot to me just because I think about leaving a legacy. Every generation should get better, should get smarter, should get stronger. And that's what our whole goal and our whole plan is.
I keep on going back to the word hope. It just re-energized me every month to be able to see, okay, we're doing it. It's that baby steps, plodding up a mountain that we can look back and we can see that we actually are getting somewhere.
To get to financial independence, the long view really matters.
So at the end of the day, what is a priority for you? If you truly want to be wealthy, you want to get out of debt, and you want to build wealth, and you want to be a millionaire, yes, you can do it.
Now listen to me. Up until now, you all have been doing one thing at a time. Baby step 1 was $1,000. Baby step 2 was to attack your debt with the debt snowball. Baby step 3, which I just told you, was building up your fully funded emergency fund. One thing at a time. Because in society today, we don't know how to focus. People are trying to do 9 things at once. I'll never forget, I was driving to work. I saw a guy driving, eating a bowl of cereal while reading a newspaper. I got away from him so fast because he's a wreck about to happen. But so many of us are like that in our financial lives, where we're trying to do all these things at once and you get frustrated when you're not making progress. So let's focus. And up until now, you've been doing things one step at a time. But guess what? When you get to here, baby steps 4, 5, and 6 are all done together. And it's a great opportunity for you to really start to move forward. So baby step 4 is to invest 15% of your income for retirement. 15%. This is the focus. And I'm gonna tell you something. I've had a great opportunity with this new book coming out, Everyday Millionaires, How Ordinary People Built Extraordinary Wealth and How You Can Too. We did the largest research study that's ever been done. Talked to over 10,000 millionaires. Can I tell you all something? Probably ain't supposed to tell you, but I'm gonna tell you. Look at me, okay? You know the number one tool they used to build wealth was their 401k. Just like the one you have at your office. That was the number one tool they used. That meant they invested consistently over time. You see, you look at this and you start to pull back and you realize, hold on, there has to be something to it. If over 10,000 millionaires use this tool, the 401k, the same tool you have available to use, that means it works, my friends. And so you look at this, and in this research study, we had a chance to uncover a lot of lies and a whole lot of myths. Okay? Like the one about the inheritance, that you had to inherit money. That's a myth. No, you don't. People were building wealth themselves over time. And here's what I figured out about myths. If you hear them loud enough, long enough, we start to believe them. Like this one, Bigfoot. Now, y'all know Bigfoot doesn't exist, okay? I mean, seriously, we all have cameras and phones. We would have found photos by now, right? What about UFOs? Now, I don't know about that one, okay? Because I've seen some crop circles and stuff. I don't know, right? The reality is we can't buy into myths. What we need to do is know the truth. And you start to walk through this and you start to see things a little bit different. You can understand it. You see, if you don't save for retirement, you're not gonna have any money to spend. See, the government's not gonna take care of you. And somebody told me, Chris, you don't understand, Social Security is gonna take care of me. I'm like, you don't know the math. That's called social insecurity. On average, the payout's based around $17,000 a year. Like that's gonna be enough to live dreams on? No. And I dug into the research for the book Retire Inspired, and I really had a heart. I wanted America to wake up. I was talking to a lot of people that wish they could have gone back and changed some things. And they would tell me, Chris, nobody ever told me, or I thought it would be different. And I'm like, okay, I want to dig into this. So you know the top 2 fears I found out about retirement? Number 1, as you can imagine, it was fear of running out of money. But the second fear shocked me, my friends. It shocked me. It was fear of becoming a burden. And I thought about that and I went, a burden? I've never heard this before. But the reality is that if you can't take care of yourself, it's gonna fall to family and friends to take care of you. And I thought about with my 3 boys, my job as a daddy is to be a blessing, not a burden. Like I wouldn't wanna do that to them. And then I thought, now I do have a sense of humor. I'm gonna harass them when I get old, okay? No, I am. You know how many of you all have pulled up to the garage and had to get out and move something? A bike or something, right? Skateboard. Here's what I'm gonna do. Don't tell them. When I get old, I ain't even gonna need it. I'm gonna rent 3 walkers, okay? Yeah, they've moved out. I'm gonna take them over to their house and put it out in their driveway. I am. They're gonna have to get out and go move something just like Daddy did, right? Yeah, I walk through my house turning off lights and mumbling. How many of y'all do that? And you know why? Because kids don't pay electric bills, right? Yeah, so here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna install a clapper in all 3 of their houses. I'm just gonna wake up and clap and turn on every light they got. Yeah, they eat up my food. Listen to me, they leave stuff on the floor. You all, I stepped on a Lego. The sound I made sounded like Michael Jackson and a dog screaming together, okay? I went down like I was shot, right? Yeah, it was one of them big Legos too. I was like, what, you building a condo? Like, build something small, right? I canceled my alarm system. I just spread out Legos around the house now. Yeah, saved me $50 a month right there, right? And you know how kids act up when you have company over? Oh, I can't wait for them to have a house party. When I'm old, I'm gonna pull up in the back. They're not even gonna hear me. I'm gonna strip down, put on the Depends, and walk out in the middle of the park, right? Hey, don't visualize that, you'll burn your eyes out. But I'm gonna have fun with them because I'm that kind of daddy, right? I wanna have fun. They know I love to laugh. They know I love to cut up because I love them boys. They're my legacy. And I want them to know that their dad loves them with his whole heart, all day, every day. So the thought of me deciding to not take care of myself and it falls to my boys to have to make those kinds of decisions, no way, no way. And see, that was one of the things that really got me motivated on this topic. That's why I'm so passionate. I'm telling people, I want them to wake up and see this. Because listen to me, if you don't save money, you're not gonna have any to spend. And you start to think about this and it changes the game, right? I mean, you start to really see this a whole lot different. And see, compound interest is a beautiful thing. You want your money to hang out with these 2 best friends, time and compound interest. I'm telling you, it's amazing, right? Let me show you an example. Let's take Jack and Blake, all right? Now, this is gonna be a living example to show you the power of compound interest. Jack started saving money at 21 years old, okay? He saves $2,400 a year. Now listen to me, that's just $200 a month. So he starts to put that away intentionally each and every month. He does that all the way up to age 29. Now you'll notice at age 30, Jack puts in $0. Help me out here, say 0. So he stops, didn't put any more money in. And then from there on, he's not putting any more money in. Remember that, that's important. But let's take a look at Blake. Blake, his friend, looks up one day and goes, wait a minute, Jack's saving money, I need to start to save some money. So he starts investing at age 30. Now Blake puts in $2,400 a year, $200 a month, all the way up to age 67, all right? Now, let's fast forward to the end of the story to age 67 and see how it turns out. You see, Jack has put in $21,600 and ends up with over $2.5 million. But you look at it, Blake, on the other hand, who put in $91,200, ends up with only $1.4 million. The guy that put in $90,000 later ends up with $1 million less than the guy who put in $20,000 earlier. Listen to me. Blake never caught up. See, this is what happens when you start early. Now, some of you are sitting there and you're like, Chris, okay, I'm not 19 or 20. You're a little late, buddy. What am I supposed to do? Hold on a minute. See, once you get yourself out of debt and you build up an emergency fund, you can start right where you are. Don't think back and have regret of what you didn't do. Let's not waste any more time. We've got an incredible opportunity. And I'm asked all the time, people say, well, Chris, how do you become a millionaire? I'm like, listen, it's math. We got to learn how to count again. $150 a month from age 25 to age 65, if you invested, gets you to $1.3 million. Now, some of you are thinking, well, $150 a month, Chris, I mean, I don't know where to find that. Yes, you do. The fancy coffee shops, pizza, eating out. I coached a family that was spending $3,000 a month eating out. I know, I looked at them, I said, do y'all have a stove? Like, do you have it? It's just an empty space in the house, right? Eating out all the time. They weren't thinking. And my boys, they had allergies several years ago, and so I decided to buy this. I'd heard about this milk. Some people at work had told me, Chris, if you go, y'all got Whole Foods around here? Okay, or as I call it, whole paycheck? Yeah, because I went in to get this special milk, and I took my oldest son with me. He goes over to the cooler. I said, yeah, Ty, grab 2 of them. He grabbed 2. He goes, whoa. I said, what happened? My wallet twitched in my back pocket. I was like, what happened? Something happened. He goes, Dad, this milk's almost $7 a gallon. And so I realized I had to be careful how I talked to him because he was holding both of them. I did. I calmed way down. I said, son, listen to your father. Put the liquid gold back inside the cooler. We don't need it. I said, go slow. Because y'all know I'm not spending $7 a gallon. I'm going to tell you right now, I'll buy a cow before I spend $7 a gallon. I'm like, boy, get under there. Get under there. Get that milk. Go on. Yeah. Get out of the way. It's your brother's turn. Get under there. Right? Have the strongest bones? Yeah. No, I'm not spending that. Right? But I'm telling you, when you start to think and you start to count, you look at stuff differently. Right? You start to figure out things and see, wait a minute. There's a way for me to be able to find money to save. Cable bills. Those things are hovering from $150 to $200 a month. Right? You start to look at this and you downgrade those things. Or landline phones. Cancel that. That'll save you $60 right there. Like, I didn't have any problem canceling our landline because the only people that called it was my mother-in-law. I'm just playing. I'm serious. So you start to think differently. You know why? Because you can find this money to be able to invest. And so I'm telling you, you don't get to live your dreams without a plan, my friends. And what we have to do is start to think differently and see things a little bit clearer. I'll never forget, I found a victim, a babysitter, to watch his boys, and we went out because I had to replace his dryer, right? And went out on a date night, and I walk into the store, the electronics store where the best deal was for the dryer, and there it was, an 85-inch super-duper high-def TV. I'd never seen a picture that clear, and football was on. I saw the grass blowing in the wind. I saw sweat about to come out of somebody's pore. That's how clear this TV was. And there was like 6 guys standing around it just looking at it, right? And I was like, this is amazing. So anyway, I go back and find the dryer and went out to the restaurant, and I was sitting there and I started thinking. I was trying to figure out, how do I get people to look at retirement different, right? And so it was the discussion of, how clear are you seeing your dreams? Like, I want you to see your dreams as clear as that 85-inch super-duper high-def TV. See, sometimes we just see them and they're fuzzy. These things down in your heart that you know you've always wanted to do. And so here's what I want you to do. If you're married, I want you and your spouse to have a dream meeting, right? Sit down together and talk to each other, not at each other. And if you're single or newly single, I want you to sit down and talk to your accountability partner. Find an accountability partner, somebody that cares about you. Someone that wants you to be successful, and you talk with them. See, I'm amazed that when we start to talk about our dreams, we get excited again. We start to say, you know what, I've always wanted to. One lady told me, she goes, Chris, someday I'm gonna. And I said, honey, well, when is this? I said, because I've looked at a whole lot of calendars, paper and digital. And you know what I've never seen on a calendar? Someday. Like, it's not a month of a year. There's no someday you worry. There's no Sumdimber, right? There's not. And we got to be honest with ourselves and start to look at this and go, no, we need to get clearer. We need to see things and start to imagine ourselves doing it. You see, it's time to dream about retirement again. And I want to show you a few images because some of these are going to tap into things that you've said or you've thought about or you've experienced. For example, hanging out at a lake house. If you've ever been there and you've heard the water hit that dock, it's magical. Or maybe you think about this and you say, you know what, I'd love to spend time with family. See, that's how I was raised. My grandparents were amazing. They didn't have a whole lot of money, but I'm gonna tell you something. They spent time with this little Kentucky boy. They helped me to dream a little bit bigger than I saw for myself. And they deposited a whole lot of love. I wanna be that kind of granddaddy one day, where I'm able to spend time and pour in to family members that I love and care about. Or maybe you wanna start a dream business. Have you thought about this? Just spend time with your spouse. How many empty nesters do we have in here? Look at them all happy. Put your hands down. They're like this, Just the two of you hanging out doing things you want to do? Or maybe you want to travel. How many of you want to travel? How many of you have some place you know you want to go? You see, everybody loves to travel. And I'm going to take you back to that someday statement. I want to know when you're going. You see, you think about this. I'm going to show you a picture of Italy. You see that up there? See, that's one of the motivations I have of being able to get over there and be able to hang out. Now, buddy asked me if I was going to ride. What's those little boats called? Okay, well, this body is not seaworthy, okay? And that boat ain't seaworthy. I ain't going out there in that thing. But you know what? It's a place I want to see. It's a place I'd love to visit. You know, I even want to surprise Mama Hogan and take her to some places. And see, we start to think about this not only for your own desires, but the people in the family that you care about, or maybe neighbors that you've done life with. You see, you've got places you want to go to. And what I want you to do is start to understand every step you take to attack debt and build up that emergency fund, every step you take to build up wealth with your 401k is getting you closer to that dream. Because I want you to see it in high definition. I want you to see it crystal clear. Even take some pictures and put them up in your closet or laminate them. Keep them with you. Keep your motivation, because I'm telling you, people accomplish things when they see it. Or maybe you've got a heart for a certain area and you'd love to go do mission work. Can you imagine going over and impacting an area, whether you're hanging out with little kids or spending time with elderly people, and you know what, you're on nobody else's clock. My dream is to go on some mission trips and people say, how long are you gonna be gone? Look at me, I can't wait to do this. They say, how long are you gonna be gone? I'm gonna go like this, They're like, what do you mean? I go, I'm gonna go over there and do what I'm led to do. Can you imagine that? The thought of being able to retire your alarm clock? Oh, I got ways to destroy that bad boy, right? How many of you want to put your alarm clock out of business? I'm telling you. And see, it's possible. We start to see things differently and we work and we stay focused. You can do it. So mission trips, or maybe you just want to relax on a beach. So there's nothing wrong with that. Being able to hang out and relax. You know why? Because you paid the price. You've worked hard. Or have you ever thought about this? What about becoming an everyday millionaire? You see, you hit that goal, you could do all those things. See, it's possible for you. I had an opportunity to meet Condoleezza Rice several months ago at one of our leadership events, and this woman is remarkable, one of the most intelligent people I've ever met. Speaks 4 languages, former Secretary of State, provost at Stanford. This woman is very intelligent. I mean, her purse is smarter than me, okay? I mean, this woman's intelligent. But she was talking about where she grew up. She was raised in rural Alabama. And being a young black kid in rural Alabama, you can imagine she was called a whole lot of things outside of her name. But her parents told her this quote, and I want you to see it. She goes, it doesn't matter where you've been, it matters where you're going. And some of us think, well, Chris, I didn't grow up in the right family, or I didn't have this opportunity, or I've had to battle this. And hey, you're not alone. We're all battling something. But the difference is that the people that are focused, the people that are intentional, they don't get left behind. They push forward. And that's what I want for you. I've been asked a lot, okay, well, how much am I gonna need to live my dream? And I'd sit down and work about 45 minutes through the numbers. And finally, I was talking with Dave and our developers, and we developed a free tool. It's called the RIQ, the Retire Inspire Quotient. It allows you to plug in some few data points to understand how much you're gonna need to live that dream. So you plug in how much you wanna live on per month, and how many years you plan to retire, and how much you have saved for retirement, and it'll show you your big number, but it takes it a step further, my friends. It'll show you how much you need to be investing right now to get to that dream. Now, this is a free tool. You can go to chrishogan360.com and get on there. Share it with friends. Share it with family members. Because I found when people are aware of what they're chasing, and more importantly, why it matters to them so much, they can keep track. We can keep score and know where we are in this process. You see, I've been hearing all these numbers. Did you all know 52% of American workers have less than $10,000 saved for retirement? Over half. Hard-working, good people, less than $10,000 saved. And I told you, 8 out of 10 are living paycheck to paycheck. And you hear all these statistics, and you know what I figured out? We live in America, the greatest country on the planet, and we get to decide what we want for ourselves. And when we change our thinking and start to focus our effort, the numbers can change when people do. That means you start to look, your situation, where you are right now is not the end. You're at a position where you get to make some new decisions for yourself. When you invest 15% of your income over time and you stay focused, I want you to hear me. You can become an everyday millionaire. It's possible. You could be the first one ever in your family. But the opportunity you have to set this up and to change the game. Listen to me. A dream without a plan is called a wish. And I want us to have dreams, but more importantly, I want us to have a plan. So I want you to know your dreams, I want you to know your numbers, but most importantly, I want you to know your plan. Remember, where you are now is the start point. We don't want to waste any more time. We want to take steps that move us in the direction, because the American dream is alive and well, but more importantly, it's available to you if you'll just reach out and grab it. So hear me, from this little country boy, I know you can do this, because if I can do it, I know you can. And for not only your sake, but your kids' kids' sake, the legacy you have an opportunity to build can begin here tonight.
We weren't trying to be millionaires. We were trying to survive. That created a lot of stress, because here we are newly married and we have extra bills, and I had no idea how to plan for it. So we went through about 5 or 6 years, sort of starting with credit cards, and then I realized that was a terrible way to go. So we struggled at probably our first 4 or 5 years, just understanding what to do with money. So I started listening to Dave about a little bit over 20 years ago, where he actually showed where the plan would take me. And that's what I didn't have in the early years, was where's this all gonna take you? We finally got our cars paid off. That helped really start accumulating our month to month. Instead of paying $500 for a car payment, that now could go to savings or retirement. Saved every paycheck, put money in 401k. I felt like if I could have money saved for my 2 boys to go through college, if we could retire with a house paid off and a little bit, like $400,000 or $500,000 in a 401k, I'm good with that. Our 401k program was kind of like the basis of our savings. It's currently over $660,000 in value, and I only put in about $120,000, so the rest is compound interest. I didn't really think it was going to grow much, but by watching it over the years just continually grow, it was pretty exciting, you know, because it starts growing faster and faster. Most of my salary years have been $50,000 to $75,000 a year. I saw people with twice as much income had no money, and it just floored me. How do you do that?
Having been raised to not spend money, I'm feeling freedom. Like, my motto is, I can afford it if I really want something, instead of feeling all constrained that, oh, I can't have that. So for me, it's a freedom.
If you're willing to follow a budget month by month and commit yourself to that, you can be a success. Consistency, staying to the plan, no matter if you're saving $100 or $1,000 a month, stay to the plan, and it will build up.
The next baby step is one of my favorites because it's going to set your kids up for an incredible financial future, and that is baby step 5, which is to save for your kids' college fund. Now, you're gonna do this after you save for retirement, because here's the deal. Retirement is going to happen 100% of the time. Like, you're going to retire. Your kids may or may not go to college. And so you wanna make sure that you save for this first, because if you even look at the population in the US, only 1/3 have a college degree. So taking care of your retirement first does not make you a bad parent. It makes you responsible, because I want your kids to be able to go to college, but I do not want them to go into student loan debt. You guys, it is crazy out there today, isn't it? It's insane. People have believed the lie that you can't be a student without a student loan. And now that's resulted in $1.5 trillion owed in student loan debt. Trillion, like with a T. Like, I hear that, I'm like, this is absolutely crazy. Like, we've lost our minds when it comes to college because we've believed this lie that you have to have debt in order to go to school. I was speaking at a university a few years ago, and this guy came up to me at the end, and he was like, hey, Rachel, all you said, it was so great. I can't wait to apply everything you talked about, but I have a question for you. And I was like, yeah, sure, what's up? And he was like, well, I graduate in May, and I have some student loan debt. And I was like, oh, okay, well, how much do you have? $90,000. $90,000. I was like, And he kind of said it like, it's like, I think $90,000. And he kind of kept going. And I was like, oh, okay, hold the phone. $90,000. And he said, yeah, and my fiance, I'm getting married in May after we graduate, and she has some student loan debt too. And I was like, oh, how much does she have? $90,000. $180,000 that this couple owes. I'm like, that's people's first house, right? Like, that's a mortgage. And I was like, okay. I'm thinking in my head, I'm like calculating the interest, and I'm like, dying for this guy who has no idea what's about to happen in his life. And I was like, okay, so what's your question? And he was like, well, my fiance and I feel called to the mission field. What do we do? And I was a little bit nicer than this, but I was like, what do? You can't go to the mission field. You have $180,000 that you're gonna have to start paying back in about 6 months. Yeah, that's just the principal. Like, that's not even the interest. Like, you have to go get a job. And I know you don't mind taking a small salary as a missionary, but financially, you don't have that option. You have to go work. And then I thought, where were your parents? Where were your parents when you were signing up for $90,000 in student loan debt to get an undergrad degree from a private university in English? I was like, oh my gosh. And that's when I realized that this whole student loan issue, we thought as a culture it was gonna be such a blessing, and it has turned out to be such a curse. Because it is now a roadblock for the next generation. And I'm telling you, parents, I don't think we have a student loan crisis. I think we have a parenting crisis. Parents in the room, you guys have to step up and help guide your 18-year-old through this decision. Because 18-year-olds can be stupid sometimes, can't they? Some parents are like, I'm gonna let my 18-year-old make this decision. I was like, no, you need to manipulate them into making a wise decision is what you need to do. But it's absolutely crazy. So we're gonna talk about financially how you can do that, because let me say this, parents, you're not a bad parent if you can't pay for your kids' college either. That doesn't make you a bad parent. College is a blessing, it is not an entitlement. But if you can help them financially, that's a huge blessing. And then we're also gonna talk about what you can do practically to help them. So when you look at the money portion of all of this, you really have two great savings options for college. One is an ESA and a 529 plan. So So an ESA is an educational savings account or an educational IRA. It's invested in mutual funds, so it's a very safe, great option. You can put $2,000 a year in an ESA and it grows tax-free. Oh, it's so great. It grows tax-free. And so if you think about it, if your child is born and 18 years later, if you've been investing, you'll have close to $120,000 for them at 11% growth for them to go to college. It's amazing. Now, if you have an 8-year-old in here, it's going to look more like $38,000 over 10 years till they're 18, but that's still a great start. So an ESA is a great option. Now, it does have an income limit. So if you make too much money, you may not be, you can't apply for an ESA. And it also, you can't fund more than $2,000 a year. So if you want to put more money in, then I would look into a 529 plan. And 529 plans, there's some great options there, but there's also some bad options. So when you look at this option, make sure it's a plan that leaves you in control of the money. So that's really, really important. Now, if you're in here and you're thinking, okay, that's great, Rachel, but I have a junior in high school, or I have a senior who's gonna go off soon. Like, what do I do? So here are 3 great ways for your student to still go to school debt-free, because it is possible to still go debt-free. Number 1, select an affordable school. Select an affordable school. This is so key, you guys. This is the biggest mistake college students make. They go to a school they just simply cannot afford. They go off to a private college, they step over the state line and go out of state and pay 3 times as much, but they can't afford it. Now, I went to the University of Tennessee, go Vols, and this pains me to say it, but I'll say it for the sake of you to learn. The University of Alabama is basically the same school as the University of Tennessee. Oh. But I said it, besides football, right? But it really is. But people pay 3 times as much. Now, if you can afford it, that's great. I'm not mad at private colleges. I'm not mad if you go out of state. Only if you can pay for it. Because if you look at the numbers, the average private school costs $34,000 a year versus just an in-state public university is $9,500. So a big difference. And there's this myth out there that everyone's like, oh, but if you go to this prestigious private university, you're gonna get this amazing college degree, and the moment you graduate, you're gonna get this incredible job with a 6-figure salary, and it's gonna be wonderful. Okay, that's a lie. That's not true, is it? No, that's not reality. And in fact, 79% of millionaires didn't even go to prestigious private schools. So selecting that affordable school, and that includes a great option is also community college, in-state tuition and community college. There's some states that even have community college for free, which is amazing. If you've been to a 4-year school, you know the first maybe 2 years of your college experience, it's your prereqs, right? It's your English and your foreign language and your history. So go do that at an inexpensive community college, and then you can transfer to the big state school if that's where you want to graduate from. But there are so many ways, and even online classes. I mean, there's so many options, but number 1, go to an affordable school. Number 2 is to apply for things like scholarships, grants, and work study. This is free money. Free money. I was speaking at a university in Texas, and I was riding the elevator up with the student who was like sponsoring the event. And she said, Rachel, I have to just tell you, I grew up with a single mom. And she said, I'm about to graduate in May. She was a senior in college. And she said, but my senior year of high school, during Christmas break, my mom sat me down. And she said, you are to apply for 2 scholarships every single day until you graduate. She let her off on the weekends, but for 5 days a week, she had to apply for 2 scholarships a day. And she said, Rachel, I was so mad. She said, we got in so many fights. She said, I started running out of places to find them. I had to ask random people about scholarships. Like, I went crazy because I was like, I didn't want to be grounded, and I would get grounded if I didn't do it. And she looked at me, though, in that elevator. I'll never forget it. And she said, but I'm a senior. I'm about to graduate with no debt and $4,000 saved in the bank. I was like, you're a unicorn. You don't exist. looked at her, I hugged her because I was like, you need to go home, give your mom this hug from me and from you, because what an incredible mom, you guys. Stepping in, loving her well, even when it was hard, and she set that daughter up for the most amazing future. Absolutely incredible. And I talked to some students, and they're like, well, it's just a $500 scholarship. Like, it's a drop in the bucket compared to my whole tuition. I'm like, it's gonna take you about 15 minutes to fill out that form. You make $500 in 15 minutes. Sign me up. It's a great job, right? That's your part-time job. Make all the money you can. Free money, scholarships, and grants. And the third way to go to school debt-free, it's gonna be kind of a shock, so just stay with me. But get a job. How many of you worked while you were in school? When you're alive. It's amazing. And actually, studies show students that can work 20 hours a week can actually pay their way through an in-state school. Oh, but Rachel, my son wakes up every day and eats breakfast, goes to the library, goes to class, goes back to the library, eats lunch, goes back to class, goes back to the library, eats dinner, goes back to the library. He doesn't have time. He doesn't have time to work, or his grades might slip. I'm like, little Johnny's probably not doing most of that, if we could just be honest. And yes, he does, because students that work 10 to 19 hours a week graduate with GPAs higher than students that don't work. Isn't that a shock? Like, yeah, because they can't sit on the couch and eat Doritos and watch reality TV all day. They actually have to have time management, and they have to be productive. It's an incredible, incredible thing. But all of these things together, whether financially you're able to help your children pay for college, or you help guide them through these tips to help them go to school debt-free, I'm telling you, parents, this is such a gift. Because you're giving your kids the gift of not starting their lives off in a financial hole, but you're giving them the gift to start their lives on financial solid ground where they get to build their futures. It's absolutely incredible.
Hi, my name's Sam, and I graduated debt-free. It was a combination of my parents' sacrifices for me and my sisters to believe in our education, but also I worked as a resident assistant and summer jobs to pay for school.
I had scholarships, my parents helped me, and I taught loads of music lessons.
So, baby step one's $1,000. Baby step two, debt snowball. We're gonna work through the debts. We don't have any payments now. How's that feel? It feels good, doesn't it? Say yes. Now, once we've got no debt, then we finish the emergency fund, like Chris said, 3 to 6 months of expenses set aside for your emergencies. You don't do baby step 3 before you do baby step 2. Baby step 2 is before baby step 3. That's why we call it baby step 2. And baby step 1's first. That's why we call it baby step 1. You don't need to fix this. Do it in order. Submit yourself to the process. Try something different. Lay yourself out. Now, once you get through the first 3 baby steps and you got that emergency fund in place, then baby steps 4, 5, and 6 are in order of priority, but they are simultaneous. The first ones, you don't do one before you do the other, okay? But these 4 you do simultaneous. 15% of your income going into retirement. We didn't make that 20 so that you had some money to throw to the kids' college. All the money works, all the case studies work out that way. The math works in the average budget that way. So now we got money to throw into baby step 5 into college, and any other money we find beyond that, we move on to baby step 6, which means that we're gonna pay off the house early. Woo! Yeah, no house payment, baby. Now, if you don't have a house, that's okay, rent. It's okay, you can rent for a little while. Rent something cheap, because rent is temporary. You're camping. It's temporary. The cheaper you rent, the faster you get to buy, right? And so you get out of debt, you save up a good emergency fund, you save up a good strong down payment. I don't yell at you for taking out a mortgage, but I prefer the 100% down plan. If you're gonna take out a mortgage, a 15-year fixed, where the payment is no more than 1/4 of your take-home pay, is the max, because the whole idea is we're gonna turn around and do baby step 6 anyway, we're gonna pay this baby off. Because when you don't have a house payment, baby, the numbers start to change big time. The average person working this stuff gets out of debt, pays off their house and everything in about 7 years. That's the data we've got on the people working this stuff with gazelle intensity. The data we got from the millionaire study says the average millionaire pays off their home in 10.2 years. Well, I could pay off my home too if I was a millionaire. No, you missed the point. You get to be a millionaire because you don't have a freaking house payment, okay? That's how this works. You saw all that compound interest with the stuff that Chris does in baby step 4 and how Jack and Blake work, right? You gotta get this stuff working for you instead of against you. And when you don't have the house payment, that's how this stuff works. But Dave, if I pay off my house, I'll lose the tax deduction. Have you heard that one? Now that one goes around all the time. Well, let's do some data, some actual real-world math instead of this theoretical stuff from your broke brother-in-law at Thanksgiving, okay? But the real world is, last year, 30% of Americans itemized. The only way you get to write off your home mortgage interest is if you itemize. So 70% of Americans did not get to write off their home mortgage, even if they had a home mortgage. And in 2018, the tax law changed. And the standard deduction doubled. So let me tell you what that means. Almost no one. So you're gonna go from 30% down to about 5 to 7% are gonna actually do itemization. It's gonna be standard deduction across the board almost, which means this whole idea of keeping a home mortgage because of the tax deduction is mythology for most people. But for you super nerds, let's work through the hypothetical, okay? Let's take a $200,000 mortgage and let's pretend you're itemizing. You're one of those rare that do, but take a $200,000 mortgage at 5%. That means you paid $10,000 in interest that year. 5% of 200,000 is 10,000. Does that sound right? Say yes. Okay, no trick math here. I'm not gonna trick you, I promise. All right, so that means if you itemize, you can take that $10,000 as a tax deduction and it saves you on your taxes. It doesn't save you $10,000, but it's a deduction off of your income that is taxable. Does that sound right? Say yes. Okay, now if you make $80,000 married filing jointly in the year 2018, that means you're in a 22% tax bracket. And so that means if you have a $10,000 tax write-off, it saves you 22% of that $10,000. So it saves you $2,200 in taxes. Does that sound right? Okay, now that means that there's idiots out there, people out there saying that you need to send the mortgage company $10,000 to keep from sending the government $2,200. And we call that sophisticated? I call it stupid. You know where I learned this? I got beat over the head with it. I was selling real estate in college in the hills of East Tennessee, and I sold this farmer a piece of ground. It was $90,000, and we were going to the closing table, and he comes in real overalls, you know, the bib overalls, the real thing. And he reaches in the top of the bib overalls and put $90,000 on the table. And I said, oh, you don't want to do that, man. I said, your farm is a business, you can write off the interest. And I said, you know, you need the tax deduction, you need to get a loan instead of paying cash for it. And he looks at me and he goes, you're in college, aren't you? I said, yes, sir, how did you know? So he walks me through this idea that I'm trading a dollar for a quarter. $10,000 for $2,200, and somehow some professor has figured out with tenure that this is smart. It's not smart. If your CPA can't add, it's a good thing to fire a CPA that can't add. You need the tax deduction. Don't pay off your mortgage. Fire them. Because they're telling you to trade dollar for a quarter. And that's only if you itemize. Most of the time, this is a hypothetical discussion. So pay off your mortgage. Pay off your mortgage. You had no payments. Let me tell you what it does. It sets you free. It sets you, the borrower is slave to the lender. You have a whole different way of looking at things when you don't have a mortgage. See, we've done detailed, in-depth research, and 100% of the foreclosures occur on a home with a mortgage. You pay off your mortgage, here's what I want you to do. You pay off your mortgage, you tear up that mortgage, I want you to take your shoes off. I want you to walk through the backyard. Let me tell you what, the grass feels different. It's mine. It's mine. Never again. Never again. Never again is my family going to be in this situation. We're not going to be left vulnerable to those people ever again. I don't have a mortgage. Nor will I ever have a house that has a mortgage. Nor will I ever have a building or a piece of real estate that has a mortgage. I got a bunch of real estate, a bunch of houses, but I will never have a mortgage again. Because the grass feels different under your feet. It's the way to live. It changes everything, you guys. It changes your legacy. I mean, you just do these, $150 becomes $1 million. What does $2,500 a month that used to be a house payment become? Well, you can afford some new shoes, I can tell you that. And you can walk around in the backyard on that grass and say, I don't know if I can get them back on or not. Walk around in the backyard on that grass and say, that's mine. We own this. Never again are you going to threaten me and my family with our place to live. Never again are you going to hold me over a barrel. Never again am I going to worry about this job and being able to, whether I've got a place to live or not. Never again am I going to be in this situation. It changes everything. It sets you free in ways you didn't even know you were a captive. When you pay off your house, I promise you it changes things. If you pay it off and hate it, just go get you another mortgage. But you're not going to do that. I promise you, you're not going to do that. Baby step 6 is pay off the mortgage.
It's pretty surreal because I'd been holding my breath for so long that it's like, did we really do it? Did we really get there?
If you don't have a car payment, and you don't have a credit card payment, and you don't have a house payment, so that frees up money to give, generously.
And it's allowing us to not only have enough for ourselves, we can truly bless so many other people.
Our ability to give and my willingness to give and our actual giving has just exploded. When people have a need, in the past I probably would close my eyes to it. Now if somebody needs $1,000, great, let's give them $1,000. And whoever God puts on our doorstep is who I'm going to help today.
My kids being able to go, they're going to be able to go to college with their college paid for. Mm-hmm. They're not going to have to worry about anything extra. They're going to be able to focus on their studies. You don't have to worry about the extra stuff because mom and dad took care of what we needed to take care of. Mom and dad, we took responsibility, for our lives and for, so that our kids could have a better life than we did,
God put us here to do some stuff, and that limits our ability to do stuff. That financial independence is powerful when you think about the ability to be meaningful parts of the community, both the local community, the church community, that changes somebody's life for the better. It is exhilarating.
It's more than I ever would have imagined, the amount of money that we're able to give and enjoy giving. But we did it. We got out of debt. And
here we are.
Here we are.
Baby step 7, now we're there. We don't have any payments. We got an emergency fund. Retirement's underway. Kids' college is rocking. Nothing left to do now but build wealth and be outrageously generous. Outrageously generous. Let me tell you, it just changes everything. When you've got a couple $1 million, you know what $1,000 will do? $1,000 will buy a car for a single mom and change her life. You know what $10,000 will do? Do 10 of those. It changes everything, you guys. And you get yourself in a position where you don't have to worry about your place because you got a little bit of money here. You're an everyday millionaire. You can relax a little bit. And all of a sudden you take your eyes not only off yourself and not only off of worrying about whether your kids and your family is going to be okay. Your family tree has changed. That check's written. It's done. Now you can look around and go, where can we be a conduit for God? Where can we show up and change something? Where can we do something different? And you get to enjoy the money. I want you to enjoy it too. You shouldn't be ashamed of winning. We've taught people in this country that you've done something wrong if you've won. You didn't do anything wrong. You didn't steal any of it. You didn't hate anybody. You weren't mean to anybody. You weren't crooked. You just saved your money and lived on less than you made. Be proud of that. It's called being successful. And you should be proud of it, and you should do it with gusto. And a friend of mine grew up dirt poor, and he's now worth about $20 million. He's 70-something years old. And he's an incredible man. He's an incredible godly man, and great dad, great granddad, a wonderful business leader, has just made a lot of money, and he's been very, very wise and very kind. He's a guy I'd like to be more like, you know what I'm saying? And so I was at breakfast with him a while back, and I said, tell me something cool you're doing. I like to talk to people worth $20 million, you know. Tell me something cool you're doing. He goes, well, when I was a kid, I used to dream of traveling. And then when I actually started making a little bit of money, I was working so hard, I was thinking someday when I can not work quite so hard, I'm gonna take my whole family, and I mean like my grown kids and their spouses and my grandkids, the whole family on trips. And he said, so I just took my 3 kids, their spouses, and my 5 or 6 grandkids or whatever it was. He said, I just took them on a 2-week cruise in the Mediterranean. He said, we went to the Greek islands. He said, we stopped and saw Rome, went to Naples and ate pizza. He said, man, it was incredible. I said, okay, it's just us girls here at the coffee shop. I gotta know, what'd that cost? That's tacky to ask, isn't it? I said, what'd that cost? He said, well, I don't mind telling you, just don't tell anybody. I said, don't tell anybody, I just want well, I'm not telling you who he is. He said it was $67,000 for 2 weeks. Well, he's got 20 million. It's like you buying a biscuit. He said, you know what else? And I said, what else? He said, we came home. It was Christmas time. We got off the cruise right before, about 3 or 4 weeks before Christmas. And this guy doing a ministry in the inner city in the rough area of town with these kids that didn't have anything called me and he said, we want to buy some bicycles for these kids for Christmas and give them a bicycle from Jesus. And he said, would you help us out? And my buddy said, yeah, I'll help you out, sure. He said, I've always supported you. I think you're doing good work. He said, how many bicycles do you need? He said, what do you mean? He goes, well, I might just do it all. He goes, you kidding? He said, no. He said, how many? He told him, he said, so we bought a couple tractor trailer loads of bicycles. And he said, the only thing I want to do is I want my family to go down there with me, and we're all going to hand these spikes out with you. We want to work and help you do the delivery to the neighborhoods. So these tractor trailers are rolling up with these bicycles. And this guy and his grown kids and his grandkids and his kids' spouses and all this stuff, they're handing the bikes off these things. And, you know, you handle bicycles, they whirl around, hit you and pinch you, and, you know, you got blood blisters, and you know what I'm talking about. Everything else just turns into work after a little while, you know? And he said, but every time you get a little bit disgusted or a little bit tired, because he said, there's a lot of bicycles. He said, you turn around, and there'd be a kid standing there with big old eyes. He said, mister, you got another one? I said, yeah, baby, we got another one. Jesus said, you need to have a bicycle this Christmas. And he said, we worked for 2 days handing out those bicycles to those kids. He said, you want to know what that cost? I said, yeah, $72,000. It's been 67, it's been 72. He said, you want to know where my family had the most fun? You know the answer, don't you? Bicycles. He said, but the cruise was good. You ought to do both. That's a position you want to put yourself in, where you can do something like that, and it's not a big decision. And some of you here will be able to do that exact kind of thing. It didn't change his life. $72,000 out of $20 million? That's interest for 2 months. It didn't change his life. And yet it changed his life. Because it puts you in a position where you just get to do that all the time. And the more you do it, it's the most fun you'll ever have with money, by the way. It is giving it. You won't ever have that much fun with money doing it any other way. This letter just came to us the other day. The lady said, I want to let you know I've been an atheist my whole life, and religion and God have never made any sense to me. My neighbor invited me to come to a Dave Ramsey event in January at your church. She doesn't attend the church, so she just asked me so she didn't have to go alone. That weekend, we heard that you guys were offering Financial Peace University, and we decided to sign up and learn more about budgeting. Even though it was being held at the church, we decided to give it a try. One night after the class was over, each night after the lesson, there's a discussion, and we were sitting at the table discussing the video that we just watched, and we were all sharing areas that we were struggling in financially, and I didn't want to tell anyone my story, but after everyone else did, I thought maybe I should too. I told them I'm a single mom with 2 kids, and I had to take a part-time job at night just to pay my car payment and my insurance. It was taking everything I was making at that job, plus part of my other, just to make the $425 car payment. Once I told everyone that, there was a long pause. And that's when he did it. He reached in his pocket, he took a key off his key ring, and he threw it to me. He said, go sell your car and get rid of your payments. I'll bring you the title for that car next week. It's a 2013 Nissan Altima. He said, it's mine. I started to cry, and everybody else at the table started to cry. That's fun. The guy that sent this to me said, P.S. Susan was baptized into Christ this past weekend at our church. You won't have any more fun than you'll ever have with giving. It changes everything you're doing. And you got to get yourself in a position to be generous like that. We all got a lot of intentions. We all got a lot of things we want to do. We all got things we'd like to do, but we're trapped. We're not in a position to do it. So when you walk through this process, it puts you in a position to do that, to be that guy, to be the $20 million guy, to be the car guy. There's all kinds of stories we can tell like this, isn't it? We all know these stories. They all inspire us to be better people. I want to be like those people. I want to be that open-handed with the things that God has given me to manage. I like to think I am, but man, I read some of these stories, they just make me cry because it's so powerful what happens when people put themselves in a position to win with money. You see, I think you can do this. I know you. I believe in you. I'm proud of you. I've worked with people just like you that work just as hard as you work for the last 25 years of my life. And I've watched you and I've talked to you and I've had you come to visit our studios and scream that you're debt-free. And I've had you call and write in and I've gotten to meet you and you tell me your story and how you persevered and how you clawed and how you scratched and how you lived like no one else so that later you can live like no one else and give like no one else. I know you. I believe in you. You can do this. And I need you to do this. This nation needs you to do this. It's time we decided that our dignity was in our own hands. It's time we decided that we can rise up and be somebody again, that it's not dependent on someone else. Your actions are going to dictate your future. So go live like no one else so that later you can live and give like no one else. God bless you.
Most stories that have a happy ending don't feel like it along the way. You know, we had a tough time, but basically what came out of it was a lot of wisdom, a lot of lessons.
You need to take care of money. You got to grab it and you've got to mold it. If I don't do that, it will mold me. It'll take over my life.
Money is a tool, but it doesn't define me. My personal integrity defines me.
You say no to the no's and yeses to the yeses, and you stay focused.
You have to keep pushing yourself towards wanting to do it. And you have to have some kind of internal fire that makes you want to be better. Like every day I want to be a better person than I am. I want to be a better Michelle than I am.
The whole point of learning this, beyond being able to handle our finances and beyond even the repair of our relationship, is to pass it on.
It was just a small sacrifice to stick to the plan, to get out of debt and do better for myself and for my children.
Knowing doesn't make a difference. It's doing that makes a difference. So you have to apply, you have to do the steps in order to make it happen in your life.
Don't wait on anybody else to do it for you. The government isn't gonna help you. Nobody's coming in to help you. Do something about it. And don't do it tomorrow, do it today.
Yes, it may be difficult and it may take you longer, but if you have a plan and you stick to it, you're gonna accomplish it. I mean, it's with anything.
So now we can look back and say, it's over. And we have been able to reach and overcome that mountain in our lives to be able to see what's ahead. And what is ahead is greatness.
The plan works at any income level. You know, if you do the right things with money, it makes a difference.
It truly has been life-changing. It's not just financial. It truly is life-changing.
We thought all we were doing was paying off the debt.
And we saved our marriage.
Saved the marriage, got out of debt, and built some wealth.
The hard work and persistence.
The tears, all of the frustration, all of the anger is so worth it, because now there's just peace and joy and
just have freedom.
Freedom.
Okay, we just came out of seeing all the baby steps, 1 through 7. These first 4 lessons lay out the whole plan for you and show you what to do. Now, you need to know, though, you're not done yet. Lessons 5 through 9 are all about life on the plan. You see, what wealthy people do is they don't just do the basic financial planning. They also have a good offense and a good defense. You've got to have both. Now, so in other words, you could do all this stuff 1 through 7 on the baby steps and make one big dumb mistake and lose everything because you didn't have a defense. Or not really turn the gas up, turn the heat up on your wealth building, and you miss out on the offense and don't build the wealth to the level you should. So you got the framework, the jet's off the ground, now we need to fly, okay? And that's what we're gonna do. So lesson 5 is all about wise spending. We're gonna fight off everything that's trying to get at your money so that you're confident and you're in control of your spending. Lesson 6 is insurance. Nobody likes insurance. Nobody likes talking about it. I don't like talking about it. It sounds boring, but let me tell you what, having the right coverage in place is everything as a defense to protect, and not buying a bunch of stuff that rips you off is a good defense as well. So we're gonna show you what you need and what you don't need, and you're gonna understand insurance maybe for the first time in your life. It'll be fun, I promise. Lesson 7 is all about investing. Now, you got a quick overview from Chris Hogan in Baby Step 4, but now it's time to deep dive into investing. This is offense. This is where you're gonna learn to build wealth so you can be an everyday millionaire and put yourself in a position that you can give like crazy. Lesson 8 is real estate and mortgages. You're gonna find out how to buy a home on a plan that works, a home you love, and a home you get to own. Ooh, there's an idea. And then finally, my favorite is lesson 9. This is where you're gonna learn to give like no one else. The live and give like no one else part. This is awesome. So just because you have the 7 baby steps in these first 4 lessons, you're just off the ground now. You gotta finish, you gotta play through, because you need the offense and the defense, all right? Gotta have both. Don't miss these next lessons. Now, it's time for your 1-minute takeaway. Write down one thing that you're gonna do this week based on what you've learned.
All righty. Okay, so what's baby step 4? Baby step 4. 50%, save 15% of your income for retirement. What's baby step 5? Funding your college fund for your kids. 6, what's baby step 6? Pay off the mortgage. And baby step 7. Build wealth and give. Correct. All right. Depending on where you're at now, thinking about baby steps 4 through 7 may seem like a long way, but it's important to see how this whole plan works together and start dreaming about your future and what it could look like. And so we're going to look at, if you want to turn to page, I believe it's page 70 in your workbook. And there's a little exercise here I want you to go through, give you about 10 minutes to work through that exercise. If you will turn to that in your book and read through that and put some answers down. Okay? Another minute or so and we'll get started here. All right. If you want to turn to page 72, we have our discussion questions for tonight. Let's see, Michelle, could you read number 1? Okay. Anybody you want to share on that yourself, Michelle, or anybody else want to? Yep. Awesome. Exactly. Yeah, sometimes the immediate kind of gets in the way and we kind of lose sight of it, but we can't let that happen. We really need to always be looking forward. All right, number 2. Stephanie, why don't you read number 2 for us?
If you are a parent, how do you feel about investing for retirement or saving for your children's college fund? Based on the ages of your kids, what is your plan to send them to college debt free?
Anybody have any ideas on this? I think we're kind of on both ends of the spectrum here. I don't know that we have too many that are, with the exception of maybe Seth, maybe here, and Zane. A lot of them are younger right now. Anyhow, before this, you probably would have thought that you wanted to take care of that first, but that really leaves you vulnerable. And so you want to make sure that you take care of yourself, and then, like she said, you can pay your school as you go through, and so it can be done. There's no doubt about it. All right, number 3. Dottie, you want to read number 3? Okay. Definitely. You could do some things that you want to do, Anybody have any ideas of things that they'd like to do if they didn't have a house payment? Vacation, cars. Quit work. Definitely. What's that? Kick out the alarm clock. Yeah, that's for sure. Are there any places that you'd like to visit? What are some places that you've always dreamed you'd like to visit? Anybody? Padre Island, yes. Okay. Anybody think it'd be neat to go to Europe? Yeah. Ukraine wouldn't be on the menu, that's for sure. All right. So the last question, when is a time that generosity has impacted your life Were you the giver or the receiver? Anybody had a situation in their life where you were either the giver or the receiver?
I think I mentioned a couple weeks ago that Matt and I were blessed when we had the girls. I mentioned the story of the dryer, but we were actually blessed abundantly. Our church gave us a lot during that time. I had a lot of complications and was on bed rest, and the church brought in meals, and so we were blessed with time, with gifts, monetary gifts, and
Right.
so that was a huge blessing in our lives, and in turn, we have tried to bless others as we can.
Sure.
As God has blessed us.
Very cool.
Single income at that point, just like probably most young people, we had 2 babies on the way. I didn't really think a whole lot about how we was going to afford to take care of them.
Yeah.
And as it started getting closer to time, and as well, how you going to afford the car seats too, just to bring them home from the hospital.
Yeah.
Let you can leave without one.
Yeah.
And it just, as time got closer, people in the church just showed up at the house.
Pretty cool, isn't it? Pretty cool. Yeah. That story of that gentleman that bought all those bicycles, it did impact Dave majorly, because a few years, I don't know, evidently it was after that, they were doing a huge, I think it was an entree leadership event in Texas. And as part of that event, he bought, I don't know how many bikes, and the people at the event helped put the bikes together and give them out to the community in that area. And they just talked over and over about how that impacted those people that were at that event and got to play a part in giving those bikes away, and how cool that was. And so, yeah, so these are really important lessons, just to think about what we can do when we get these things in control, and what it gives us the ability to do, and how we can bless other people. And so the action steps for this week, let's go through those. So you need to schedule a budget committee for your next month, coming up here pretty quick. You need to make sure that giving is at the top of your budget. If you are looking for information on how to invest money, if you're in the, primarily investing money now, they have a website there that you can go to and talk with a professional on how to invest. And they will steer you there. If you're looking for college plans, you need to do some research on ESAs and 529 plans. And then you need to remember to do these things in order, or it's going to throw the whole thing out of whack. So I believe that's it for tonight. Thank everybody for showing up here, and we'll hit it next week. The next lesson is called Buyer Beware. It's a really great lesson that is going to teach you a lot of things when it comes to purchasing. And so it is a great lesson. All righty. So, Joe, would you close us out in prayer tonight? Amen.